Do your sales suck? Does your marriage suck? Does the energy that you bring to every day suck? Well, I've got Andy Hobaica on the pod today, and he's an absolute pit bull when it comes to winning in his business and family. But don't worry, he's the kind of pit bull that wants to help you. Grab your pens. Let's dive. Dude, I appreciate how we met. Obviously, in amongst a connection with Ryan and a few other
Mm.
things he had going on there in Arizona. But I just love to dive in first. I believe you told me when we met that you're third generation in your business. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I want to talk about that because, there's a stat out there, that wealth generated, in the first generation of wealth, by the third generation, it's gone. And
Easily.
you've experienced not just wealth, but now there's a business still that's creating wealth that you're holding on to. I want you to talk about the challenges, first off, that being a third generation entrepreneur, holding on to the things that everyone else says statistically should be out of your hand.
Yeah, I think it was because I started so young, Chaz. So I started when I was like 10, 11 years old. So my motivation back when I was 10, 11 years old was that I could work really hard, save up, and like buy a car or nicer things at that age, right? So
Yeah.
even though my dad has been wealthy my entire life, we didn't see that. We didn't get anything special. We actually got less than most of our friends, right? To where if you skip forward a little bit, I had to buy my first car with my hard-earned money of $15,000 that I saved up. I had friends that just got their dad's old Honda and they didn't
Seriously.
appreciate it. If you put a fingerprint on my Mustang, you were washing it. Yes,
Yeah.
I bought it myself. That was my pride and joy, right? Like it was my life.
Yeah. That's right.
You really learn in your life how much you appreciate things. If I spent $15,000 on a car when I'm 16, it's like you buying a $300,000 Lambo and I'm going to wash this every day until you get to become a billionaire. Then other stuff's really important. But then,
Exactly.
it all goes together with just working. So I think what it was for me was from 20 years ago to 10 years ago to 5 years ago, every time I get a challenge, I think of two things. My dad's expecting me to win here because he's given me all the tools and he's given me the drive. So I better show that I can actually do this. And he didn't waste his time bringing me up and show me the way to do it right. And then on top of that, my grandfather's looking down from heaven and, something he started with nothing, Lebanese immigrant came over after the war, took his GI Bill and gave it all up to start his own company and have this big family. I'm letting him down too. So I can't
Yeah.
have that happen.
Yeah. I love that, man. That's the right answer, right? Like that, my grandchildren and great grandchildren, if they have that answer,
Yep.
then we're good. But
Correct.
what do you think happened along the way? Of course, you said working hard and having an appreciation for things, but what did your dad or maybe even grandfather do specifically to help you understand that, the wisdom piece of that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Just taking care of people the right way, man. So always putting your customers first, and like your customer is always right, but there's an extent to that. Always taking care of the customer, and dude, it's why my tagline is to stop selling, start helping. Because if you can help the customer and focus on helping the people, then they're going to be able to buy whatever you have to offer if you help them first.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope that answered a little bit of your question.
Yeah. I think that, I
Yeah.
mean, entrepreneurs by 80% or better are first generation wealth because of the stat that I've just mentioned to you, right? I didn't have future or past generations that gave me anything, and so I'm first generation wealth, and so I'm looking at trying to create what your family has, and I know that the
Mm.
listener is too. It's a big topic, and so what from okay, switching back like that's you've been the receiver of this generational wisdom and wealth and knowledge and all the things. What are you doing with your children that is keeping them away from entitlement, pressing them into the wisdom and knowledge that you've been passed down, all the good things?
It's a good question, but like it's hard to answer because my kids are so young, man.
Yeah, I
I
get
I
it.
have a full I have a 4 and a 2-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're training their subconscious right now, and you know as
Oh,
well as I know,
hardcore,
you know,
hardcore.
that might be the foundation of everything, and so what does that look like?
That looks like me coming home at between 6 and 7 and me putting my phones down and not looking at emails, answering calls and stuff like that. 100% goes to family time, right? So I get home between 6 and 7. I'll put my phones down, answer a couple emails, whatever I got to do, but I get home and then I engage with the kids and it's all them. Not answering my phone, making sales, even though, it probably make me some more money than some people, but at the end of the day, it's all about family. I want my kids to know that I'm there for them and then I'm going to give them their time because I'm going to give each kid 30 to 45 minutes of just direct time, exactly what they want to do. Maybe my daughter wants to go into my office and spin around in my office chair for an hour. Great. That's what we're going to do because I have noticed when I first had kids, I told myself I was going to do this and then it didn't happen. And
Yep.
then my kids would have like meltdowns before bed. And my wife would look at me and say, well, you know why that happened? I'm like, why? And she's like, you've been in your office ever since you got home. And I'm like, well, I had a lot of paperwork to do. And she's like, sounds like an excuse. I'm like, you're right, it is. And she'll call me on it, but
Yeah.
it is true. So I kind of look back at where my dad was working 24/7, right? So he was blowing his dad's company up to what it is now. And I remember him getting home from work. He'd get home from work, he'd come in, say hi, give everyone a kiss, and then go to his office. He'd come out of his office, eat dinner with the family, and back to his office. Didn't have much time for, family time because he was running a company and trying to blow it up. But he says the one thing that he regrets back then was that if he would have done his time a little bit differently and played with us more on a weekly basis versus like, once a month we'd do like projects and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I had this realization a couple years ago. I was, kind of a not quite an identity shift, but a big thing for me was I've always been a builder. You're a builder. You're building businesses and teams and sales systems and all fun stuff that like really gets us juiced.
Right.
And playing Uno with my then 3-year-old son or my 4-year-old daughter was like the dopamine was just not quite there. But I had to that shift in that moment was I'm not playing Uno. I get to build my child in this moment.
Mhm.
Or when I'm with my wife, I get to build our marriage. And that shift of just words or identity, really what it was, is like, no, I'm a builder. In this moment, I'm present here. I'm right now in the moment with Andy because I'm building this relationship unto whether it's something for us or whether it's something for the audience. I don't know, but we're here exchanging great value. And I can do that because I'm a builder, right? And so I love what you said there as far as like being intentional about the time because
Mhm.
sometimes you don't know what's going to happen, especially with the kids. But it's like, no, I get to talk to my son about losing well today in Uno because I'm going to smoke him, or
Correct.
whatever.
Yeah, no, so I agree 100% with you on that. But sometimes you got to add in a little bit, Chaz. I don't know if
Okay.
you're like me, highly ADD. But sometimes on the weekend, my daughter just wants to go outside and play on a swing set or go on the jungle gym. She doesn't want to talk to me. She just wants to go active, active, active. I'll be
For sure.
honest, man. Some days I'm just on and I'm like, oh my God, I know I'm gonna be bored as hell outside. I'll throw a podcast in my right ear and then I'll play with her. I'm fully engaged, but dude, sometimes I gotta be doing 2, 3 things at once. Otherwise, I'm like all over the place, like wondering what I'm gonna do the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think I think there's wisdom in
Mm.
taking moments like that. I think we probably all do the same. Like when I'm getting my kids ready at night, I do the same thing. I spend a couple of hours every single night, kind of uninterrupted, and do the same thing. I'm waiting on them to do certain things as we're going through our checklist in the evening. All good stuff. Okay, let's change gears here. You're building your family built an incredible business. You're extending a legacy, which could just be like resting and chilling and coasting. And if I know you well at this point, that is like furthest thing from your thoughts. But
Yeah, if
no,
you're not growing, you're losing, baby.
yeah, you're a grinder. And so let's talk about that energy that you bring in. I'm gonna get to sales here in a second because I know that's like your sweet spot. But you coming into a third generation and you pushing what was already something amazing. What does that look like on a daily basis for you?
So bringing some new age stuff into it, like role play, right? So I don't know if you've seen our videos and our pictures. We do a lot of live role playing with every team. So
Yeah,
sales department, we split our technicians up into, beginners, mediators to the experts to where we can role play with them. We always have a couple salespeople in the room to give them some, some aspects of what they can do better or stuff to work on. But we have a door in our room. And I'll be honest, I got the idea from Andy Elliott. He has it at his training facility, right? So I went to one of his sales performance, like, ultimate closer school or whatever he has. So I went to it and then we built one. We had our GC build one on wheels and it's a door with a doorbell on it and everything. So you walk up to it, knock, knock, knock. Someone answers the door, whether it's me, another manager, or another technician. And the technician's got to go through that scenario, whether it's walking up to the door, introducing yourself, presenting a product, coming down with bad news off the roof, like whatever they have to do, but role playing in front of 20 people that they respect. And it's hard, right? It's much harder in front of there than it is in person. But if you can master role playing, you'll be
oh
a
yeah.
badass in person. So we do a lot of role play on a weekly basis.
Yeah, talk about this because I mean, I've spent a lot of time role playing in phone sales. I've
Mhm.
done in person, very similar to what you just described. And you're right, that moment of like, oh, we got to do role play is like whether it's internal or it's external. Hopefully, it's not external because
Yep.
that's that potentially just needs to be weeded out. But there is that little bit of hesitation of like, oh, I got to do this, and it feels awkward, and it's that practice piece. But what is that really building in them? that you believe?
Well, we both know it builds a lot of confidence, right? And it also builds respect on their peers. Cause like someone that's not the best at role playing and doesn't want to be there, I'll be like, all right, Alex, you're up. He's like, man, come on. Not like can I watch? I'm like, nah, like you were picked out of a hat, dude. Like if you don't go, someone else is going to go. You're going to have to go next week.
Yep.
All right, whatever. And he goes, he actually does pretty well. And then some of the guys were like, wow, like I liked how you did this and
Yeah.
I learned from it. And if no one wants to speak up, I'll say something. I'll be like, to be honest, Alex, I liked when you said this. I haven't done that in a long time. I'm going to start doing it again. Great job. And write it down. I'm going to take a note that I'm going to start working on it. They know that something came out of their mouth that someone that they look up to is actually going to try.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge, man. I think that what you just described, so hopefully this is a note for the listener. What you just described is not only just a fundamental, like you should be role playing. This is a really, really great idea. Not proven by me or Andy, but we just happen to do it, and it's fantastic. But then also the encouragement and the technical adjustments that happen through it is just probably like no other type of training. Very similar to how we do a roundtable with entrepreneurs. When I put entrepreneurs at the table and they're discussing topics back and forth, there's an element of this person sharing and this person learning that I can't facilitate as just a speaker, right? That you're actually facilitating your own little mastermind group right there in your sales team. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yep. And it's like a sidebar. I know we talked about it a little bit. I do a little sales coaching on the side just for people in my industry, literally 100% because it's what I'm good at. But I worked as a technician, installer, all the way to sales because I know the whole spectrum and then I how to manage people. But I have 4 clients right now. People that are listening, I'm not looking for 40 clients. I don't have the time. I do 4 to 5 at a time max because it's like twice a week, really early in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm doing a guy right now where he was a technician, then a selling technician to 100% sales now for home services.
Yeah.
And I'm going through the spectrum. But I'll tell you right now, I jump on an hour call with him on a Monday morning at 6 a.m. Yes, he learns a lot, but dude, there's always something in that hour that he brings up. And I'm like, I haven't done that in a while. I better
Yeah.
start adding it back to my process. And
Yeah.
then I'll write it down. But you tell them that, you're like, hey, dude, I'm learning here too. The difference is you're paying me to do it or their boss, right?
Yeah, exactly. I had the same thing years ago when I was a sales trainer in a big corporate setting. People would ask me like, "Dude, I know how much, on the scale of commissions, like where you land, you could just easily take this time and just go make another sale. This is
Yes.
this is a diminishing return of your time and money." I'm like, "Actually, whoa, no, no, no. By training you, I get to train me every single day." And that's just simply some of the best stuff that you can do, even as a best of the best expert in your field. Guess what? That's what they do. They practice constantly and role play or do these things that make them sharper and sharper and sharper. It's called mastery, right?
And then on top of that, what is the best? I know you're reading my mind right now. What is the best feeling when you're coaching someone and you teach them something? What's my answer? What's the best feeling? What do they got to do?
Execute, do what you said, and it works.
There it is, baby. So, hey, random call from someone I'm coaching from a day and I'm doing paperwork. I'm like, okay, or I have to text them. I'll call you in 20 minutes. Get on the phone. Hey, Jeff, what's up? Andy, man, Monday and Friday last week, you told me to do this. I practiced it with my wife. I executed. I just closed a $45,000 sale, biggest sale I ever have. That was amazing. I'm like, whew. I'm like, well, there it is. So go tell your boss that the $1,000 a week that he's paying me is well worth it. But on top of that, it feels so good that like he listened to me. He actually executed and it worked. I knew it was going to work. You just have to try it.
Yeah,
Where how many people go to these conferences and talks and see all these people talk and there's
never do.
20,000 people in the audience, 4 people actually go home and implement.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, I've talked about this for a long, long time, whether it be with salespeople, entrepreneurs, that gap that you're talking about from learning something to implementation. The shorter, the better. Obviously, the experts do it instantly. They haven't even left the conference yet, and they're already implementing.
Yeah, texting my team. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, what have you seen when people are maybe in your coaching or you're in your industry or other business owners? The reason why they hold on to that gap or they make that gap longer than it should be. What can they get rid of to make that shorter?
Negative people on their team.
Ooh, okay. Talk to me.
So like let's say you're the service manager or the sales manager, whatever, and you go to a conference with a couple of guys and you get a couple of good topics, and then you come back, and then another manager on your team or even someone higher up than you or someone on the team says, I don't like that because of this, and they just give an excuse.
Yeah.
They're not even open to trying it. It's
Yep.
probably a limiting belief of theirs of
Mhm.
why they're not even willing to try it. You
100%.
need the entire team to be open to the fact of like, I don't like that, but we'll try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But hey, I'm open to trying new things. It's the
Yes.
same thing, Chaz, as you would say, like, let's say you own a sales company right now and you have four good sales guys, but one of them's really freaking negative.
Yeah.
When everyone comes in the office and they're doing paperwork and that one negative person starts talking, what does it do to the other three people?
Oh, it just sucks the life out of everybody.
Everybody, and then all three, four people are all complaining about the same thing. It's like, man, like I have these high performers that aren't performing because they're hanging out with this guy.
Yep.
It's like, but the owners are like, but he can be worked on. He needs a little bit more time. No, it sounds like you need to cut that person out. They're infecting your whole team with this virus of negative.
Yeah. Yeah. I created this like bullseye years ago. I learned it from somebody and created my own. It's basically like a no negativity bullseye. And anytime, whether I was just a sales manager at a company or within my own organizations over the last years, it's like if we're remote now, so it's a little challenging, but when we were in an office setting like you guys, it's right there on the wall, man. If there was any negativity, the whole team kept each other accountable. It was like, no, 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 hit the dot, bro. And it was like, yeah, to go over there, slap the
It's a great
the
idea. Right?
discipline of thought, baby. It's like not only do I have to keep me in check, but we've got to keep each other in check because you're right. That
Yep.
crab effect where crab's trying to get out of the bucket. All it takes is those other guys to pull it back down. Okay, let's talk about we're on
Hey,
sales.
hey, pause real quick, real quick. I gotta go back.
Yeah, yeah.
Whenever I get into a negative mindset and my pops like knows about it because he knows how positive I am, he'll look at me and be like, "Hey, stop! Not, I don't even want to hear about it. We can talk about it later. Go, go, go read your book. Go do it." And I'm like, "Ah, come on. No, you need it. Okay, good." What he's referring to is the audio book, "The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck"
Yes.
by Mark Manson. He's like, "Go read it." I'm like, am I that bad? He goes, "Yeah, you're in a shitty mood." Okay, cool. I'll go skip to like the middle of the book and I'll just listen to Mark rant. And I'm like, okay, I needed this.
Yep. Yeah. No.
You need people to hold you accountable.
I was gonna say, what an incredible tool. Not only that you have your dad to be able to do that, but then an
Mhm.
actual like system in that place of like, hey, not just a white flag of hey, quit being negative, but go do this thing that then releases the brain stuckness in that moment. Because that's really all it is that we got captured by something else that overtook us and our emotion,
Yeah.
our decision making.
Yep.
And all we need is just that little snap moment of like, oh, yeah, you're right. Whatever. And then
And
we move
for
on.
the listeners, if you haven't read or done the audiobook, is hands down one of my favorite books.
I love it. That's good stuff. All right, well, let's keep on the lane of sales here. I know you're big on overcoming objections. I have a unique perspective on overcoming objections. I would love to hear just from the top when someone says, "I don't know how to do that," or "I feel awkward overcoming people's objections." Like they're coming to you asking for help. What are you going to say to that person?
You're saying that because you're uncomfortable, right?
Me
Like
personally?
that's what. No,
Oh,
no, I know
you want
you're
role
not
play? You want role
saying it
play?
to the
I'm role
person,
playing with you.
right?
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm
So,
uncomfortable. It makes I asking challenging questions is hard for me.
okay, hey, Chaz, are you happy with your growth and the money you're making right now and your closing percentages and all that stuff? Are you happy with that right now? Or did you
No,
come to Hobaica because you wanted to improve and you wanted to make more money and
yeah,
you saw some of the W-2s from some of my employees last year, like I
right.
showed you when you
Yeah,
got
yeah,
hired.
yeah. I want to grow. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So do you think that changing it up and doing something different might change that?
Well, of course, yeah, and so I guess I know all the one-liners, Andy, but I don't know what do I need to change in me to be able to execute the one-liners? It
Yeah.
feels tough. It feels like icky when
It
I do
is.
it.
It is tough, Chaz, but you're at a point right now to where you're literally happy, where you're getting by, you're not struggling. But if you want to make it to the next level and be part of the top 1%, like we are, you have to become comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to be. It's
Yeah,
not comfortable asking someone for the sale 19 times. It's never comfortable. It's not comfortable telling the customer that you're not moving until they move forward with, because if they use someone else, it's going to go to hell. Like, it's not comfortable. But if you want to make more money, you want to become more successful, you want to help more people, and you want to be a better person, you have to become comfortable being uncomfortable. And we have to get you there. But you know what? That's what I'm here to support you with. So I'd love to help you with that. Let's start.
yeah, for the audience, hopefully you guys just paid attention, but Andy overcame my objection in that little role play there. I love the ability that you had. First off, if we can just dissect that for a minute, because I love the technical aspect
Oh
of
yeah, it's a
language.
must. It's a must now.
Yeah, well,
I, won't-
what you did is
I won't hire salespeople that haven't been technical first, bro.
well, you have so even technical in like what you were saying, and so you went first to my desire. Why did you
Yep.
go first to my desire? It had nothing to do with how much money I wanted to make, but that's what you made it about. Why did you do that?
Well, it's the proper way to sell, and at the end of the day, I was trying to get to Chaz because Chaz is
Yeah,
coming to me with an issue. It's not really an issue; it's a challenge. But what I'm setting myself up in the conversation up to where I know Chaz won't have, if I just say, "Hey, Chaz, you got to become comfortable being uncomfortable." You're like, all right, that's easier said than done.
Right.
If I go after what's important to you first and why you're actually here, why you want to improve, you're going to remind yourself, yeah, you know what? I do want to get better. So then when I say something, a suggestion, you're that much easier to be able to take it in and be like, you know what? Actually, I'm going to try that out versus me just shoving down your throat.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think is the gap between me as a salesperson or an entrepreneur listening here today, wanting to be better at sales, and just telling myself that I want to make more money or do better and then help more people? How do I translate me personally making more money to helping more people? I mean, you and I know this answer, but let's tell it to the audience.
I would focus on helping more, right? So like walking into a sale, not thinking I had to sell this person. You
Right.
want to, but walking into the sale saying, you know what? I know this person doesn't have cooling. I know they're getting quotes on a new air conditioner and maybe water heater. I know that they're interested because they like my company because of the reviews, but that's all I know. So how about I focus on helping the customer? So I know your air conditioner doesn't work, but you do not think I'm going to dig in deep and find out your uncomfortable spots to where, hey, Chaz, let's pretend the air conditioner was working great. Let's pretend you didn't have a hot water problem. Let's pretend everything was wonderful. And this was 2 years ago when it wasn't broken. What issues did you have then? What hot rooms did you have then? Because I'll tell you right now, if you're going to spend all this money on a new air conditioning system, but I'm not able to solve your hot rooms because I didn't even ask you about them, then why am I even here? Anyone can replace an air conditioner. I'm here to create an experience and you to fall in love with my company so you can refer me to all your friends and family because
Yeah.
this is a relationship here, Chaz. I want you to be really happy.
It's super interesting as you chose to help more, which really means be curious, ask better questions, be super interested in what the whole scenario looks like, not just the ailment or the symptom, right? And but inside of that, actually what you did for you as that salesperson in that example, you gave yourself this immense authority because you were asking questions that probably nobody else was.
Nobody.
And what that led to was a conversation about hot rooms that nobody else had with them. And now they're thinking, oh, well, geez, were they just trying to sell me the system? Because if I just have hot room, like this guy actually knows what he's talking about. So instantly, just by asking better questions, I now as a homeowner think you probably know your stuff better than the other four guys that have been here, right?
So you just sparked a story. This happened 6 months ago and it's happened many times, but this one was really strong. Key competitors in my industry, all the guys, if I said their names, one, I don't badmouth people. And two, if I'm not going to say anything bad, I'm not going to say anything good because I'm the best. But at the end of the day, 3 to 4 really top competitors of mine that are good companies. You look them up online, they have good ratings, they're well known. They all went out there to replace an air conditioner, quote, because that's what the customer wanted. The unit was only 7 years old, Chaz. The main concern from the homeowner was, I think the system is undersized and not big enough, and that's why it won't cool my house. Now, every air conditioning salesperson or technician that went out there found out that it was already a 5 ton, that you can't go bigger than that. You would have to add an air conditioner. But they didn't tell the customer that. They came down and said, well, your house is sized for a 5 ton. I just did a heat load calculation. It's sized correctly. We're all good to go. We need a new 5 ton or we need a more efficient unit. When they didn't need a new system, Chaz, I went out there, took videos and pictures coming down to show Chaz, hey, you have a 5 ton. Your house is 2,200 square foot. It needs a 5 ton. It seems to be working okay. I diagnosed a couple things pretty quick, like you have a weak capacitor and stuff like that that normal technician wouldn't find. But just letting you know, it's working okay. You have a 20-degree split between your return and your supply. Everything's working good. But I think the main problem here is airflow. So I'm going to go in the attic and take a look. I go in the attic. Chaz, there's 3 ducts that are blowing into the attic that have been torn for 10 years that the home inspector didn't find because they don't crawl back there. So
Wow.
he really needed like $2,800, 3 grand worth of ductwork. And then as well, he had 3 inches of insulation. Now, if you don't know Arizona or a hot climate, you
Yep.
need a minimum of 10, right? So we recommend 12, like a new home, to where he needed 3 grand in insulation. I mean, 3 grand in ductwork and he needed another $2,500 in insulation, which actually qualified for $1,000 tax credit. So what this guy heard was all these other 3 guys, they were just trying to sell me what I needed because that's what they know to do, but they're salespeople. They
Yep.
weren't technicians or installers before. So they really just did what I told them to do.
Yep.
And he actually told me exactly what was happening, bought the $7,000 worth of work from me. And then, hey, Chaz, that 7-year-old system, when it dies in 13 years, who's he calling?
Oh yeah, for sure. Every time.
Damn right.
Yeah, that's such an incredible story. I appreciate your not only ability in that moment to do that for that customer, but right now to be able to share that story because we hear these things. as salespeople, as entrepreneurs, and it's like it's the feel good moments of like, yeah, oh yeah, we did the right thing. But how many times in the moment is it just easier? They think they need a new system. I'm just going to quote the new system because it's going to cost them 17 grand. And that's just, it's a better payday for me. It's easier to sell them. They don't know, right? Like that's the gap between just go make more money, salesperson. Uh, you know, help more people, make more money. But that's not what you're saying. I mean, you're saying that, but what you're really saying is in order to make more money, open your eyes a little bit. Be a better craftsman of what you do. Understand what you do better so that you can help the customer understand better and you can actually diagnose the problem. Like actually, right?
And then I've had those same situations almost identical to the customer saying, well, Andy, I'll be honest, there's more efficient air conditioners out there, right? I'm like, yeah, there are. Well, yeah, how about we do the ductwork and the air conditioner and you give me some kind of deal? Let's do it. And then they buy a $28,000 package from me that no one even had a chance of doing because one, no one went in the attic, no one checked the ductwork, no one looked at the actual problem of why these three rooms were hot. Hey, the air conditioner is working fine. These three rooms are hot, not because of the air conditioner. It's most likely ductwork and insulation and performance of the house. What if the leaky window is the reason and they think they need a new air conditioner? Like,
Right.
let's find out the problem. I'd much rather refer a window friend out there, have him get $10,000 in windows, know that I referred him because I love referring people. It always comes back to you. And then when the system needs to be replaced, who are they going to call, Chaz? The people
Yeah.
that quoted, or the guy that turned away the work, made no money, and recommended windows for the customer?
Yeah. It's that last point is it was the second point I was going to bring up. It's just so incredible that you've now said it twice. You have the ability to think long term. Tell me, like, because okay, third generation, big company. Someone might be listening right now, going, "Oh, well, Andy, you didn't need that job. It's easier for you." I'm a new guy. I'm only 2, 3, 4 years in. I needed that $17,000 sale to make payroll. No, I'm not referring that window guy out, right? Like, what do you say to that guy who can't think long term like you?
You're thinking short term, short money, man. Short money, short. And it's like that saying: short money is short lived and short spent. Long term will create relationships for a lifetime. On one of my recent podcasts, it's going off a little bit, but it speaks on the same type of thing. I had a customer to where they said, Andy, you gave me all the discounts available. I'm pretty like this lady had been a customer for like 15 years. I wanted to help her out, Chaz. I was down to doing it right above cost, and she still couldn't afford it because the guy on Craigslist was cheaper. So I was really hoping that this guy would at least give some value to her. But I told her, I'm sorry, I just don't think you can afford us. And she's like, I agree. But she fell in love with Andy, and I was just trying to help her and do the right thing.
Yeah.
She referred me to 7 people. All 7 people bought from us, equal to $170,000 in business from past other referrals that they gave. It's crazy.
Yeah. In the moment, like,
Yeah,
right
it's hard.
right in
Yeah,
that moment. I can remember
yeah, I
being a
know.
salesperson,
Yeah.
15, 17 years ago, and, like, I had, 0 sales on the board compared to a week where I had, 6 sales on the board, and you feel different. I get it, but in that
Yep.
moment, when you have 0, you have to act like you've got 6, or when you're in that homeowner's house, it doesn't matter that you need payroll for Friday. You have to do the right thing because it's gonna lead to 170,000 in business. You don't know when, but in that moment, what do you tell yourself? Or what did you tell yourself? What did you see your dad
Well,
tell
so yeah, well, what I see is if this was my grandmother in front of me,
Yeah,
or
this is good.
if it was my best friend's mom, would
Yeah,
you take advantage of it or would you do the right thing? That's how you have to treat every call because you never know the human being that's actually sitting across from you. What if they're related to you, Chaz, and you don't even know it? And you find out 10 years down the road you screwed over your grandmother of your second father's childhood that you found out on ancestry.com. You
yeah,
have to think like that. The person across from you is your best friend because that person's going to refer you so much work. So you never can go for the short term. You have to do the right thing by the customer first. And how I feel about it, am I going to be able to go to bed at night if I do the wrong thing? No.
yeah, yeah. It's so interesting. This plays in the mastermind space so uniquely because there's masterminds, they're a dime a dozen, right? What's unique about a mastermind? Well, the people. And it's like, well, everybody says the people in their group are better, right? And it's so interesting when I have come up against folks, not competitors, but other folks that have been in other groups that have come to us. And they're like, dude, everything about this process, everything about talking to you, everything about talking through learning about your group, through meeting your other members, coming to an event, it's just so different. And so I had to dive into that a little bit because, and it all stems back to what I call the word harmony. And I talk about this from the beginning. I start talking to somebody about the group is that harmony matters more than anything. You're talking about doing the right thing for a customer because I can only choose the right thing. In a scenario where there's a mastermind, like they don't, I mean, they need what we have, but it's not like they're going to have a hot house, tomorrow. It's a different type of need. And so I'm way more in alignment with harmony. And so I'm like, hey, dude, like I don't know if this is a good fit or not. Because if you don't want it and I don't want you, then we don't have harmony. And if I put you in a room of other people, that's that negative piece that comes in, right? I've got that one bad apple and it destroys everything. And so we're like super keen on it. And what it has done, in your case, doing the right thing just over and over and over and over and over, for us is it's created a space where it's like we just have super down to earth, regular people that are doing extraordinary things that like really love helping people, like each other. And it's like that you would think is the mastermind. But how many times have you gotten into a group or gone to an event? It's just like everybody's out for themselves and there's no harmony. It's all negative. It's just like, dude, if we just do the right thing over and over and over again, it eventually all works out, right? I mean, you're 3 generations deep. It works out.
It works out. And then yeah, and what I like what you just said, Chaz, a lot of it's good. I'm just saying, like, when you build that team, right? Now we have such a tight-knit team
Yeah.
that if you come on and you get past my psyche and you can actually sell me that you're a good person and you're really bad, then hey, congrats to you, because I read people very well. Just like when I met you, I knew you within about 3 minutes. I wanted to become your friend. Too bad you don't live in Arizona, because I like you as a person. But I can read people if they're fake or not within seconds.
Yeah.
And I was hoping I could read Ryan when I first met him. Oh, cool. This guy's actually cool. I like him.
Yeah.
So it was funny. I told him, but when you build that team, we hired someone maybe a year ago, and they seemed like a freaking rock star. Like they were going to do everything amazing for our team, but they were doing stuff that wasn't best for the customer. My technicians noticed it. They're like, "Hey, I'm not saying he's doing something wrong, but I've been this customer 3 times. I saw him sell this. And I'll be honest, to my knowledge, I don't think that customer ever had that or needed that product. So I just wanted to let you know, maybe watch that." And then 3 or 4 times, you have all these technicians that are like looking over their shoulder or maybe talking to each other about, "Hey, did you see what so-and-so did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to that customer's house. She doesn't have an attic. He quoted insulation," whatever. Stuff like that does come up. And it's like, they'll get kicked out really, really quick by the team, because the team doesn't want anything to do with them, because they're like, "Hey, I've worked here for 9 years. I have a reputation here. Hobaica's doing the right thing, puts the customer first and treats everyone like family. You're not part of this team." And they'll remove them very fast, and I'll get complaints, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I can't have this."
Yeah. It makes it super easy when you have
It's
it's
like
not.
it's like that group, right? Like you're part of
Mhm.
that little niche at school, and it's like, well, you're gonna get weeded out pretty quick if you're not in tune with everybody.
That's right. How do you help other entrepreneurs develop that? I mean, it's going to take some time and some intentionality, but what does that intentionality look like? What have you done with your team to create such a thick culture?
Yeah, so we do meetings the first and third Tuesday of every month. We would have had one yesterday, but we had to reschedule it because my GM's out of town. But we do meetings, and they're always like very energetic. You ever seen my videos? We start the meeting, we get the front of the room, and everyone in the room. If everyone's not doing it, we'll do it 2 or 3 more times. But we do the "I'm alive, I'm awake, I feel great." We do it 3 times in a row.
Love it.
It's very embarrassing. It's very stupid, but it gets everyone out of their comfort zone, and it's fun. And it does wake you up, because it's like that negative mindset of people. Go off topic real quick. Anybody that's listening, if you're at work and you hear some bad news, or you get into a negative mindset, or you lose a sale, or someone backs out and something bad happens, stop what you're doing,
Yeah.
focus, come down and do 20 push-ups. Let me know how you feel when you get done.
Yeah. Yeah. You
You
just got
will snap yourself out of it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
good.
we do a lot of that. We do a lot of recognition cards. So we mass printed these cards, and on the front of them it says, like, "You're my hero, you're awesome, part of the team," whatever it is. And then
Yeah.
on the back, we write stuff to people. And then me and my GM, we walk around the room and we'll pick them out and we'll read them about people, give people the cards. It
Yeah.
seems childish, but dude, it really helps out the team. People get fun with it. They get dorky. They create nicknames for people like Papa Bear Andy. "Thank you for teaching me this last week." Everyone starts laughing. It's fun. We read reviews. So if Chaz leaves a review for one of my technicians, 5-star review, we'll read the whole paragraph in front of the team and then give people 100% pins. Where are we at? Right here. It's 100% pins.
There you
So
go.
the 100% pins, and we have all these different clubs, and like we try to meet it to where everyone really does feel like family, because we know everybody doesn't do this unless you've been coached by myself or by my father. You look at how these teams run, and you're like, "Oh, dude, they're doing everything we're doing." And my dad's like, "Yeah, duh."
I love it. I love it. You're creating a regular occurrence of what's probably psychologically like right brain activities. It creates creativity. It creates a little bit of awkwardness, a little bit of like but it shakes things out, especially the cobwebs, especially on a Monday morning. Oh my goodness. I can remember being in several environments like that. And just choosing the cheesy things is what I used to say. Like I
Very
would kind of
cheesy.
preface it, typically if especially if I had new people, I'd be like, look, guys, I love the cheesy stuff, so just go with me. Okay. Do it for me. And then by the time we're done, they love it too. But it's always that first little like awkward place that, whatever that chant was that you gotta get, I had several chants along my years of businesses and sales teams, but it's stuff like that that makes it interesting, right? And then actually what is super unique about things like that, it's very cultish. It's very like it gives them something to hold on to. People love that stuff.
Correct.
It feels weird at
Yes.
the beginning, but they know that chant. They know that chant.
Oh, they damn well they do.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
they do.
remember it
Yeah.
forever, like
And
forever.
then we have like our motto, we have our recognition team, we have our different sayings, our key phrases.
Yeah.
Everyone in the team, most of them have it memorized, and we'll just call people out like, "What's our promise to customers? What's this? What's this?" And then some people are like, "Ah," and then if they don't know it, everyone's like, "What the hell?" Like they joke with them and like, "You better know next time because I'm calling you out."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then the alive and awake, we always randomly, if no one volunteers, and no one ever volunteers, we randomly pick someone to go lead the team in the front. Like, well, JC, you're getting everyone started. Oh man, why? Because you're half asleep. Let's go. It's fun. It's fun.
Yep.
Hey, Kings and Queens, Chaz Wolfe. I want to talk to you about something that's super important to me. We put a lot of time and effort, we meaning myself and my team, into this podcast, into the content that goes out every single day. And if you have been getting any sort of value or insight from this, we want it to be able to reach other business owners too. So we would love if you would like, comment, share, leave a review, post, share again, all of the things on social media, on all the different platforms, or even on the podcast mediums of Apple and Spotify. We would love to be able to get our content into more hands, more entrepreneurs, so they can grow their business as quick as possible. Together, we are building a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who are committed to growing their businesses to new heights. So let's do this. Let's help each other grow.
That's the way it rolls. Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about we've talked about culture, communications, cool things that you guys do inside your business. What do you think it comes to like in challenging moments, right? So maybe you got a sales guy or a technician or maybe just someone else on your team and they're kind of going through a rough spot, whether it be with sales or just
Mhm.
performance in
Yeah.
general, maybe personal rough. What does that communication look like in a business like yours?
Call them into a meeting and say, schedule it into their calendar. I need to meet with you. I want to have a heart to heart. Just call it that, right? You're not getting fired. I just want to meet with you. And then you're going to bring up. So we didn't start our conversation like this, Chaz. I'm talking to you now because we didn't set it up for what I'm about to talk about. But anyone that's hired, we're going to go over quarterly. We're going to go over whenever you have a problem. We're going to go over when you get a bonus, anything that you're doing, your why, because I already know what your why is.
Yeah.
So you've already told me why you want to work here. You've already told me your personal whys, family, generational wealth, whatever it is. I know your whys because I have them written down because I care. So anytime you're having a tough time, we'll have a heart to heart and be like, "Hey, Chaz, you know, tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like something's bothering you because you're just not performing, man. What's going on? I want to be here. Not that I'm disciplining you. That, hey, Chaz, what's going on, man? Can I help you out with your personal life? Is there any advice I can give you or listen or maybe do something for you? We'll hang out this week and go get a beer. Like, is there anything I can do for you? Because I know you can be a badass. And right now it's just not happening. Can you please share with me why? I want to help you because you told me that you want to do this, this, and this, and that you want to do this. I can't see any of this happening with the way I'm looking at the board right now. How can we help you? Because you already know their why and you actually care. It's very emotional. You get a lot of employees that like just break down and like get emotional. And some of them will even cry with you because they'll be like, "Man, I'm just having a real tough time at home with this or this." And like, you can support them, whether it's helping them with your own advice or, "Hey, you know what? There's a mastermind coming up in a couple of weeks. I want to send you to it. I think you would help out a lot. I'll pay for it. All you got to do is show up, buddy. I think it would help you out a lot." Or I told one of my employees recently to read with his wife before bed every night the 5 love languages, and it's already helping out tremendously.
Oh yeah. Yeah, game changer right there.
Yeah, game changer.
That's actually a great segue. I wanted to make sure we had time to talk about you and your wife, and you already kind of tiptoed on her calling you out on excuses earlier, so I wanted to make sure I circled back. That's a same pageness that you described, right? You come in the door, you give an excuse, and she says, "Hey, I love you, honey, but like it, those aren't welcome here. Go do the thing that you said you were going to do." That takes an incredibly clear sameness, but also a woman who feels confident in that oneness, but also then to be able to communicate to you and be like, "Hey, bud, you might be king somewhere else, but here you're not." And so, like, I need you to be, but you're not being it. And I need you to rise up to the king that I know you are.
Correct.
How did you guys get to that place? I mean, obviously years and lots of work, but like, one or couple, two couple, three nuggets around things that you guys did
Yeah.
on the same page.
We have those conversations, man. Conversations as in, I tell my wife, you have to be comfortable. Just tell me how it is. Do not be afraid of what I'm going to say. I love you and respect you. And if I didn't love you anymore, I would tell you. That's how confident and how blunt I need you to be with me. When I'm not acting on the things I promised you I was going to do for myself, for you, and for the family, I need you to call me out because I'm not always perfect and neither are you. But I need you to call me out on that because I mess up a lot and I need you to hold me accountable. It's a non-negotiable for me. So we both made it a non-negotiable to be able to tell each other what's going on. I'll even tell her sometimes, hey, Pearl, I love you. Something's not going on tonight, right? Because you're snapping at me about everything. Again, not being rude. Maybe it's that time of the month. Maybe it's not. If you can give me a little heads up here, I can be a little bit more patient, but I'm just calling you out right now. I don't appreciate this.
Yeah.
Dude, if it's not within an hour or two the next morning, she always comes up. She's like, hey, I was in a really shitty mood about this. Thanks for calling me out on it and made me think about it. And you don't appreciate that. I'm like, hey, you don't have to do anything for me. I just wanted to let you know because you're better than that. And she's a powerful woman, bro. When you can find someone that's in tuned, a good woman, a good wife, takes care of your kids and your home, and they're loyal, like, man, like people don't understand. There's still good women out there. You're looking in the wrong places because, dude, I found one. They're around. They're just very, very hard to allow people in. So you have to find that person. And I found mine.
Yeah, it's so interesting that the little prop that you put up there for us, because there's good women, a queen, if we want to use the language, but what they're looking for is what? For the man to be the man who she says she's looking for, the man
Correct.
who's worth submitting to, or the man who's
Correct.
worth following. And so, what do you think that you've done individually, personally, on Andy to become the king or the man that she needed you to be, so that she can hear that and go, you know what, I'm sorry about that, and then now we can grow together better. What have you done personally?
To stop being so stubborn and, like, as you would say, cocky, right? I'm a top 1%er. I bring home all the money. I'm the reason why you have all these nice things. You can't be that person. It doesn't help about anybody. It's not good for you and it's not good for your family. Not
Yeah.
good at all. So you have to fall into where you go home and I don't care who's listening. Your wife's the king of the home. Has to be. Otherwise it's not going to work, guys. So when I realized, here you go, man. When I realized recently in the last couple of years, how hard my wife's job actually is. No, thank you. You couldn't pay me $1 million a year to take care of 2 kids all day long. I don't know how she does it to this day. I do not understand it. It is the hardest thing in the freaking world, cattling 2 children and taking care of a household and making sure there's no drama at home and dealing with, if I'm not having a good day, to come home and call me on my bullshit.
Oh,
That
yeah.
takes a village. It's one woman.
Yes. Yeah, I've spoken to that angle about Julie, my wife, before, where it's not, I mean, kids by themselves. I'm with you. There's been several weekends where she's gallivanted on with a trip or gone somewhere,
Yeah.
and I'm like, by the time she comes back home, I'm like, okay, bless you, woman. And so that's always a helpful reminder. But
Yes.
even just the fact of dealing with us, like, even if it was just that one thing that they just have to deal with us. Yeah, like, we've created an environment. Cool, you've bought her some nice stuff. She probably lives in a nice home. But, like, that doesn't necessarily equate to dealing with all of just you.
You and me, you and I, Chaz, we're the same. Salespeople that are motivated, we're extremely emotional. How do they deal with that? Like, I don't know if I could deal with someone like me.
Yeah.
To be honest,
It's a lot. It's
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot. And the credit you gave to her, I think, is beautiful. And I'll give the same to Julie, because it's not even just like handling and reacting. I think that was probably some of our first years, of like, holy geez, dude, like, you don't stop, and it just keeps going, and all the fun stuff that I'm sure your wife has told you. But now it's like a proactive, like, she already knows. She can anticipate. We've talked about, just not necessarily that my expectation of her is to anticipate, but I've told her, like, these things here, and, like, just like this morning, like, literally, I was running a little late this morning. I was about to come up to the office, and I was like, oh, I need water. I was like, go back downstairs, already full. It's like the little, super little things where she's just paying
Wow.
attention.
I know my wife does the same thing. So I have a funny thing. I have a little man cave casita in my new house. I'm a lucky man. My new house is on 2 acres. Like, talk about hard work. Like you get to enjoy it finally. So where if you walk into my man cave casita, I have this little refrigerator, and what it's meant for is like alcohol, right? I don't drink much, so I put water bottles in there because in the morning I'll take a water bottle out and I take like a Vitamix
Yeah.
neutralizer, like in the morning. It's like thousands of different vitamins. It's the reason I'm never sick. I boost my immune system and I pour that in there. And I will always remember to load the refrigerator up with the cold water bottles. But I'll look over in the morning and there's 30 in there. I'm like, man, she has time to do this after all the other stuff that she does. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But when you treat your wife like a queen and you show her that she really is appreciative and that how much you actually care and you actually, enjoy all the things that she does and you appreciate her, she'll go above and beyond and actually figure out your love languages are some of the smallest things that they can do for you, right?
Oh yeah.
My wife gets dirty, bro. My wife, she's old school, man. She's like half dude. I always say, she's outside picking. Dude, my wife picks up the dog poop.
Oh yeah.
My wife
Mhm.
cleans the house. When I told her,
I love
you
it.
can focus on the kids, I'll get a house cleaner. She's like, no, they're not going to do it how I like it. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
And like
Yep.
it's crazy to where I got one of the good ones, Chaz. I'm the one with the Amazon problem, not her. My wife doesn't enjoy going to Target and spending tons of money. I'm telling you, my wife's one of the golden nuggets, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Pearl. I have to buy her things for her to do things.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw my post recently. I wrapped her Durango in matte purple.
Oh, I love it. That's so cool.
You know why? Because she told me when we first started dating that she wanted to own a purple car,
Yes.
but she would never spend the money to do it because she thinks it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
Well, you should have seen the smile on her face when I came home with a matte wrap purple Durango.
Yes. Yes. I love it so much. Yeah. Julie actually is very similar. Sounds like Pearl and Julie need to be friends because man, everything you've just described is pretty similar. I actually do the shopping, like clothes shopping. Like she's not into any of it. She's like, nah, whatever. I'm good with the stuff I had in high school. I'm like, wait,
Yeah, exactly.
no.
What?
Let's get you some new stuff. And so
I know.
it's so good. What do you
I
think?
met my wife, and my wife, real quick, my wife's name is Pearl, right? So Pearl, old school, same as my daughter. When I met my wife, her name's Pearl, right? And she didn't own pearls. Like, what the hell? So it was like our 1-year anniversary. I bought her real pearls.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, you bought these? How much were these? I'm like, well, the money doesn't really freaking matter.
Oh.
It matters that I can finally buy you something with your name in it and that I'm appreciative of everything you do. And this is before we had kids and all that stuff. And she's like, these had to have been a fortune. I'm like, you always have those one-liners. I'm like, well, nothing can put a price on that smile. And like, obviously, I have to do things for my wife because she won't do them for her.
Yeah.
I have to plan trips. I have to be like, hey, babe, Saturday, you're going to get brunch and mimosas with Christina and Karen. I set it up with Brandon. She's like, wait, what? I'm like, I know. I got the kids. We're good.
Yeah, dude, that's so good. I hope that the listener is paying attention to just your little intentions. Intentionality, if I could just sum up, really a high performer, but for sure it's doing things with intentionality. I got to share because you share that Pearl story. I have a Pearl story myself, and I think we've just been going back and forth. It's super fun. We were in Kona, and they have like little pearl shops where you can have a little experience. You open up the deal, and you get to pick your pearl. And
Yeah.
Julie had I don't know if she had any real pearls up until that time, but she loves pearls. Like that's like her like kind of fun thing that she like to look at and have, but she didn't have any. So anyway, we got her this ring. It was from Kona. It was like this really special thing. She was like, oh my gosh, like very similar. Like, oh my gosh, it's like a lot of money. Da da da. We get it for her. And a couple years later, she loses it and just was devastated. And we got it from Hawaii. So it's not like I can just order another one. And
Correct.
so years later, probably, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years later, we were in Hawaii again. And I saw that it was a similar shop, like similar experience. And I took her over there. She knew as soon as she saw it, she was like, no, like, babe, I lost it. Like, we don't need to do it again. You don't need to spend. I'm like, shh. No, like, yeah. Like, no, I've been like waiting for this moment for like 9 years to be able to do this for you because you deserve it because you do so much. And so I just think it's so
100%.
cool. It doesn't always have to be a gift. And I loved how you gave some intentionality there around getting with her friends, stuff like that. It doesn't always have to be a gift. It can be a gift of time, just taking the kids. That's probably Julie's number one. If I had to go to her right now and be like, what's the number one thing I could do for you? She'd be like, just here, have these, the children.
So she says, like, hey, you didn't have to do that. Like, oh, I had some things going on Saturday. No, you don't. I looked at your calendar. You have nothing.
Yeah.
So you're going out with them. She comes home and a couple of things happen every time. And I know my wife's going to listen to the podcast. I love you, babe. She'll come home and she'll say, man, I needed that. I'm like, I know you did. And then she'll say, it happened again. I'm like, what happened? She's like, oh, the women are jealous at the brunch. I'm like, why? She's like, I tell them a couple things that you did, and now their husbands are in trouble.
Just keep doing you, King. That's
Yeah,
just the way that it
yeah.
rolls. What do you last piece here on your wife? What do you think that she's like from your daughter's perspective? What do you think your daughter is seeing in the woman that you just described?
Explain that differently, Chaz. Like what she's seeing, how she's acting, or how I'm treating her. What are you
Ooh,
asking?
both, one or the other. I
Okay.
from
That's what I heard when you said it. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't
okay,
think that's what
yeah,
he asked
yeah.
me.
No, that's okay. Answer it. Answer it. What do you think your daughter's learning from watching the environment of your home? Let me say it like that.
I like that. Yeah. So she's seeing a woman that's hardworking and doesn't say no to anything, that is willing to put their kids and husband first before them and not doing anything for themselves until they're forced upon them. I see that in hardworking, very calm to where if anyone loses their temper, it's me. My wife always calms me down. She's never yelled in my household. I have, and I have to apologize and get over it. But also, my daughter sees me treating my wife like a queen. I always get emotional when I talk about this. Thanks for bringing it up. But like, I open the door for my wife.
Yeah.
I treat her like a queen 24/7. I'm always speaking with her with intelligence and the whole thought behind it of like, this is the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
To where everyone in the room that has a daughter that's listening, you would know that if you treat your wife like shit and you guys are yelling at each other all the time, that's what your daughter's going to run to. Your daughter's going to date a bunch of douchebags. They yell at them, even though they don't want that. They internally think they need it because that's how their dad treated their mom.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so
And
good.
we don't want that, bro. Right?
No. We're trying to raise little queens, right? It was super.
When you have a daughter, man, you become an emotional wreck. And I'll be honest, now I understand what these people say. I have a 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old. When she's 14, yeah, I'm gonna want to kill some dudes. So I get it.
Yeah, I've got my up here in my loft, several elk on the wall, deer, turkey, guns, bows, arrows,
We
knives.
didn't even talk about that, baby. We could talk about that for the next couple hours. I'm a big hunter.
Oh, I love it. I love it. But I'll be for sure bringing, young men up to the loft to have a chat with them before they date. Full
That's
circle there.
awesome.
Gotta make sure that they know, what I'm capable of. I think it's super special that you've spoken about your family and your wife that way. I think it's great that you also are passionate about it. I think it's actually what we talk about inside of GTK is that it's the ultimate mastermind between you and your wife. That everything pretty much flows out of that. If you guys are not just on the same page, but if you guys are like rocking and rolling together, gosh, that's why everything else is rocking and rolling.
Correct.
Okay, dude. Well, we have covered a lot. I was going to ask you a couple more questions, but man, you've given so much value already, and I want to be respectful of your time. What would you say to the listener right now? We've kind of covered a lot of topics. Maybe as if you could maybe hone down like your biggest success in maybe a sentence or two, what do you think that would be for you? Like maybe today, someone else had to give an analogy, or not an analogy, a
Yeah.
eulogy, or this is what Andy was. What would that be?
So, like I told you before, if I don't care what you do, whether you're an insurance agent and you're calling someone on the phone, or you're meeting someone at a meeting, or you're a home service salesperson, you're going in there, you're a technician, or you're a personal trainer, if you just focus on helping the person with something that has nothing to do with what you do first, and then honing in on what you can help them with while you're there, and then selling them something, you'll be so much more successful and happy in your life. To where if you just focus on helping them first, with something that you're not even there for. Like, dude, I've been to people's homes where I walk into and I'm like, that door is like falling off the freaking hinge. I bet I can fix it. Hey, Chaz, before we get started, I'm sorry, man. I'm a handyman. If something squeaks in my house, I'm fixing it that day, or I can't go to bed at night. It's the same thing here. I'm going to leave this sales call, whether you use me or not. And I'm going to be pissed off that this door was making noise. I can fix it if you'd like to. I have some tools and go get some WD-40, a couple drills, sockets, good to go. And dude, now the door's not squeaking anymore. I'm the one that fixed their door. That's all they're going to remember.
Yeah.
So I just, that's what I focus on, to where you can help the people, to where maybe you're giving a quote on insurance. I'm not an insurance agent. And someone comes in and you find out that they're not having the best day. Maybe spending the first half an hour on asking them, are you open to hearing some coaching to where what's helped me in that situation, and helping that person get through something, so your conversation actually goes better, to where you would have never got the sale because they care about what happened to them 3 hours ago that you're not even digging into.
Yeah. Yeah. That's going to block the sale anyway.
That's one of them. And then the second one I tell everyone is, if you're in any kind of industry where you're in your car for at least an hour a day, to where I'm in my van, truck, whatever I'm driving. I'm in a vehicle for like 3-4 hours a day, going in between calls, visiting jobs, going out to meet someone, a customer, dealing with a situation. Maybe someone's upset, anything like that. Windshield University.
Yeah.
Stop listening to music while you're driving. It's doing nothing for you. If you go to the gym and you want to listen to music, yeah, I do, dude. I was in the gym this morning listening to some hardcore Skrillex because it gets me in the mood and that gets me to bench a lot more, to where I feel good. I like EDM music, if anyone wants to ask, my favorite when I'm working out. But if I'm just driving, you're listening to the same music, which, dude, to be honest, country, rap, rock, it's usually about drugs. It's not about positive things, unless you're listening to the Christian station, which I do not listen to. I don't enjoy it. But I'm saying, like, if you do, great. How about you learn something that day? Maybe there's something you can hear that you haven't done for a while. Maybe it's a book you already read and you enjoyed. Listen to it again.
Yeah.
Listen to the audiobook. I guarantee you'll pick something up. Jump in a podcast, listen to Driven. Dude, there's something you can learn that day where it's going to help your life, someone else in your life, or the person you're about to go see.
Yeah.
Maybe it can help you out in that situation. Maybe I'm going to learn something where, like, I've heard that before, but I exited out of my life. I don't know why I put a pause on it, but I'm going to enter it right now. And you know what? I'm going to use it on this customer. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
You would have never given that opportunity if you didn't listen to an audiobook or a podcast.
Yeah.
So I would stop listening to music. You can go to a concert. You can listen to music at home and in the gym. But think of it as this: whether you work for someone or for yourself, you're wasting your time and their time if you're listening to music while driving, when you can actually be learning something.
Yeah, it's just a huge leverage, and you're right. They shouldn't even be thinking about it. I haven't listened to music outside of, like, some church music here at the house with the kids, or
Yeah.
or in church, but it's like, why? Why? It's not helping me. And actually, I think actually what you've given the listener is a lens of, or a filter, to be able to think through what I'm doing right now. Does it serve me? Does it help me get to where I'm going? Back to what your first question was in the role play. What is it that you want? You told me this is what you wanted. Is that still what you want? Okay, great. So, person listening right now, you're obviously listening to a podcast, so that's fantastic. Good for you. But what else? The other time that you're spending in the car, or even, I would even just say, really any other time, like when I'm getting ready, there's no one else around me. I've already spent the time with my family, or I'm about to go spend the time with my family. It's just me, the shower, and my clothes. I'm listening to an audiobook, like the second that I'm by myself.
Mhm.
Because I'm trying to constantly learn and grow, just like Andy described. So that's good stuff.
The only reason I pick music in the gym, because if I listen to an audiobook, I'm not going to get anything done, to be
Yeah.
honest. I have to listen to something that's going to pump me up, or listen to nothing at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm a nothing guy. Music is fine every now and then, but it's pretty early, and it's in my house, and the kids are still asleep, and I'll just go nothing, and it's just fine. So
Dude, I don't care if I had an iron paradise in my house. I don't think I would work out. I
Yep.
have to go somewhere.
You gotta go
I have
somewhere?
to go somewhere.
It's all right.
I have to.
yeah,
I have to.
there's a different feeling. I just the efficiency of my life is,
Of course.
oh
Of
my
course.
gosh. I get
You're like my brother, but my brother works out at home every day, and I just, like, I don't think I'd be productive. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm just getting to a routine to where I go to the gym, and now I'm standing in a room, and I'm like, well, I can't take out the trash or go do chores. I'm at the gym. I better work out.
Yeah, yeah. I get it. Yeah. Well, Andy, you've been incredible. How can the listener find you? Maybe they just want to connect with you. Maybe they want to hire you for maybe some sales training, or some just coaching in general. How can they find you? How can they hire you?
Easiest way is Instagram and Facebook, just Andy Hobaica, AndyHobaica. And guys, I would recommend just going to follow me on Instagram. Everything I coach people that they pay me for is on my Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook. Everything. It's just a lot of people they pay me a lot of money to where they just want to be babysat, and they want to get that personal one-on-one,
Yep.
and they want to role play, which is fine. If you want to pay me for that, then I might take you on. It's all about the person, though. You know how many people I've interviewed and told them I was too busy to coach them because I didn't like the person?
Yeah. Well, that's just how
I didn't want to teach them my tricks because I don't like the person.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, go to Instagram, watch 20 videos. I guarantee you'll learn something. Shoot me a message. I always offer everyone this. If someone wants to jump on a call for like 30 minutes to an hour like this, like a podcast, and just talk, and I can actually get them to learn something, I don't charge them for it. Maybe I can add enough value in that hour where they don't need to hire me. But you know what that's going to do for me, Chaz?
Yeah.
I'm going to go on that week knowing that I've helped someone, and I got nothing in return except knowing that someone's going to implement something to make a better life, and I had something to do with it.
Yeah.
So that's why I do podcasts. That's why I love talking to people and creating these relationships, because, dude, If I wouldn't have showed up to the gym with Ryan, he would have never invited me to the freaking Top Golf.
Yep.
I would have never met you and never had that relationship. I think you're a cool dude. And at the end of the day, we'll hang out and we'll go to events together and stuff. But the thing is I would have never met any of these people if I didn't get out of my shell and just do it.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I can't describe to you that I agree more than what you've said. One thing always leads to another, especially when we're making good choices around learning, meeting new people, helping other people like you've described. And I encourage the listener to take you up on it.
Yeah.
If you're a guy who's saying, "Hey, call me at no charge, 30 minutes or something like that," which several people do, but not many people do it.
No one takes me up on it, bro. Like 3 people. I'm in a crowd with I did a mastermind at Service Nation. It's like 1,000 people in the audience. I had one person hit me up. I'm like, well, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that people just won't reach out because you're right. You just never know where it's going to go. But you're right. This relationship is far from done. We are going to do some cool stuff together. We got to get our wives together, it sounds like, and our daughters. There's some cool stuff that can happen there as well. But I just appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here super early in the morning, Arizona time. It's not early to you, but I think the rest of Arizona is still sleeping currently while we're recording.
Most of them are, yeah. And then lastly, it was a really good pod. I really enjoyed it. If you have me on again, we'll just do straight sales and overcoming objections. We could have fun doing that.
Sweet.
It's just you get into a podcast and people have a rhythm they want to hit. And if they bring something up, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry you brought it up. I have to go hard on everything that you bring up.
100%. I thought you did an amazing job. Thanks for being here, buddy. Blessings to you and your family. We'll talk soon.
I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for listening to Driven to Win. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.